So people, welcome to the first ever Crep Chief podcast. I'm here with Tom, Will and Brad, all founders of Crep Chief Notify and the Crep Chief as a brand. And we're here to talk about the beginning of reselling, the beginning of Crep Chief as a brand, and the beginning of us reselling ourselves. I think we'll take it away with the first question about how do we all know each other. And I'll go first. So I know Will, and this is how I know Brad and Tom, through Will. And I knew Will from living next door to him and getting into reselling with him at the start, actually through a family holiday, which is pretty wild.
Family holiday?
Family holiday, that's how I got into reselling with Will.
In the Cotswolds?
That's pretty mad.
Mazza. We had the worst internet ever, mate. Couldn't cop anything, but
we learned a lot. That one. Didn't you get scammed for a Domino's on your PayPal?
Was that that time? Nah, I think that was after. That's got to be after. I know when that happened, though. That was time ago.
Right,
I've racked up like bills on my mum's credit card. Fuck.
So
I think the first thing we actually copped was.
Well, nah, you need to go into how these know each other as well.
Okay, go on.
And then me and Tom met in GCSE English Resit in college. So don't worry if you fail your GCSEs, you can still own a business.
All good. It's all good.
It's all good. Yeah, and then we was both just into fashion at the same time, and then got into sneakers through that way, and then through music myself, and then I believe Tom met Will in college as well.
I met Will in photography class, and he was going for like a Supreme box logo. He'd actually just bought it and come back in to lesson, and he was like, "I just bought this." Flexing. And I was just like, "What?" And he kind of explained it, and I didn't really say much.
It was a flex when you copped Supreme.
And I was just like, "This is pretty nuts, this." So he was like, "Oh yeah, I just do this everything." And this happens every Thursday, Supreme. So I was like, "Next week I'll do this. I'll just go for this."
I'll do the
and that gets me onto like my first ever cop, my first ever purchase.
Supreme.
Was Supreme. My first ever purchase was Supreme, and it was some Comme des Garçons something like shoes. And I bought them at like 11 on like my first break, and by the time that break had finished, like 20 minutes later, they'd already sold.
But
and I'd made like £100 profit. Sold them on eBay straight away, and I was like, "This is mad. This is literally mad." And he was like, "Yeah, just do this every week." So I was just like,
just do this every week.
This is crazy. And I was like, "What else?" He was like, "Oh, these shoes as well,
minutes.
Yeezys." And I was just
Amazon,
like,
mate.
"I've heard of these, but I don't really know how to get them." And they explained, "This is how you get them."
So would you class that as £100 profit in 20 minutes?
I would class that as £100 profit.
Is that £300 an hour, mate?
Yeah, 15 minutes probably.
There you go. £300 an hour.
Yeah.
Jeez.
100 at that point.
And that was in college as well. So that's what.
So you were 16?
Yeah, I was 16, and that's what initially hooked me. That first £100 profit, I was like, "Wow, this is nuts. Just buy this, put it on eBay, make profit." I was like, "Wow, rinse, repeat."
He was hooked. He went, "I'm going to start my own business doing this now. I'm going to teach everyone else how to do it."
I don't think it quite happened
And the
like
next
that.
day, right, here we are.
See. Anyway, after that, so I don't even know what kind of timescale this was on for me, and I guess this must have been. I must have already resold my first thing before this, because did you resell anything before One Stop Cop?
I don't actually think.
I think apart from Pirate Blacks.
Yeah, just like getting into Supreme, because like box logos was like the biggest hype.
Yes.
So you buy them for like
The biggest hype, mate.
30, 40 quid for a t-shirt, and they were selling for like £300-400, and then the hoodies were like 130, selling for like 400 or 500 quid.
Hmm.
So they were insane profits. But I think apart from that, it was just shoes like Yeezys. They were like, because they were releasing like what every 1 to 2 months.
Yeah.
But we just
Yeezys?
we just go big on them, and we'd go for like as many as possible.
And so at this time I must have been, because I'm 2 years younger than these three guys. So I must have been at least 15, and that's when I started just reselling. And my first item that I ever resold was a pair of Palace shorts. This is a classic. I'm sure people have heard this hundreds of times. It was through One Stop Cop, which was like a very, very, very early doors cut group, and me and Will was part of that. And basically, they was just telling us exactly like CCN, you know, what to buy, what to sell, and all that there stuff in between, how to get it. Because back then there was a lot of methods for just like a lot of easy methods that you could do manually to just get all these items. And this Palace shop came around, and they just literally said like, you know, these items are going to do well. I just literally jumped on and bought these pair of Palace shorts for £50. And then I literally listed them up on eBay. They sold within like an hour or two, and I just made a £50 profit just like that. And just like Tom, I was just instantly hooked. At that that first £50 profit, I was like, this is insane. Like, I've just made 50 quid. Like, this is insane. And at that point, I had no money for myself. I was just like living off my parents, obviously, as I was like 15. I had no job, nothing like that. And yeah, that's how it kind of got started. Will helped me list it on eBay because I was obviously headless chicken at that point. I literally didn't really know what was going on. And then, yeah, that was the first time I ever resold. What about you, Will or Brad?
I think the first thing that I ever resold was the OG NMDs with Tom. I started reselling probably a little bit later than these lot. I tried it with the Yeezy Moon Rocks when they released, but didn't get any luck, and then just probably pushed it off for like a year. And then the OG NMDs, was it a re-release? I think it was a re-release, wasn't it?
It was re-release.
Yeah,
it was a re-release, and then they restocked in size women's in Manchester. And we went, fuck it, can you swear on it?
Yeah.
You can swear.
We just skipped last lesson and just went to Manchester and just picked up a pair of shoes. And I think Tom took them back to Will's, and we took them to a bulk buyer, and then just sold for like 80 quid profit or something.
We had a few other pairs, didn't we? We got them.
You had like 30 odd pairs.
Yeah, we went
so
to Offspring the next day, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. So we had like one person who basically just bought all our shoes off us. So we'd have like collective like 40, 50 pairs, and we just go drop them all off at once.
Get rid of them all in one go.
Yeah, I think you take like a little bit less of a profit, but
it's like you take like £5 less, but you're dropping every
know
single
all
pair
of them.
off to one bulk buy. You're not paying shipping, and it was just guaranteed. Like it was just easy. It was literally like you buy for this, and this guy's 100% buying for this, and it was all done before.
And they don't flake them Chinese buyers.
No, they don't flake.
Like,
yeah.
the
These
Chinese
buyers don't flake.
And
If they
a
say
lot
a
of-
price, you're guaranteed that price.
Exactly, and a lot of the time you can almost like guarantee your sale before you even buy the shoe.
Literally.
So you
Yeah.
tell him, say
That's the thing.
there's a shoe coming out on Saturday, you'll confirm a price with him, how many pairs he wants, and then as soon as you bought them, you just go drop them off as soon as they
Literally.
arrive. Or if you pick them up, just go and drop them off.
That
Sold.
That was a wild thing, and I imagine it still happens quite a lot now, but it's not something that we really focus on anymore. Stuff like that. It's like when we first started reselling, we was basically unloading everything to bulk buyers, literally every single drop. Because at the time, like it was just like sneaker drops at the start, wasn't it? And it'd be like we'd get like X pairs of Yeezy, we might get like 30, 40 pairs, and then we'd just like shift them all off to one guy, and we'd all get like a nice price and stuff like that. And it was just quick, easy cash for us, and we didn't really want to bother like shifting things like week in, week out, holding and like taking our time with them. And stuff like that.
No, especially when peak Yeezys came around, like peak Yeezys a few years ago,
Yeah.
and they were releasing like a good pair every
Back
month
when like
or two.
it was the Yeezy Butters, man. The Yeezy Butters changed the whole like thing for Yeezys. Really, like it was like because that's when they literally started churning them out from there. It's the Yeezy Butters, and then that was the first time they ever did like huge amounts of stock, wasn't it?
But yeah, then we had like the bulk buyer ready. So I think we
Yeah, that
actually
was insane.
secured
We
like
agreed
£60 profit a pair.
It was like £70, £80 like it was like £100 for like base size or something. It was mad.
We went to
£100 to £70 profit. It was mad.
We went to Liverpool for that release.
Yeah, so we used to have a back door at Foot Locker Liverpool. Back doors are still possible. You just have to know the right people.
Yeah.
Somehow we ended up with it, and we ended up collecting over like 250 pairs that day of Yeezy Butters. Literally like 2-3 weeks after Foot Locker Liverpool opened.
Yeah. We was literally running a train from the till to the cars, literally carrying literally just going back and forth and back and forth.
We could
all
probably
day
insert
long.
video right now of them all on Will's
Yeah.
Drive.
Yeah,
All 280 pairs.
And I think even in the queue to Foot Locker, I'd ran a bot on size previews.
Before you'd even gone into
Oh,
store,
I
right?
remember.
Yeah.
That was
So
like the first bot you
I
ever
stood in
ran.
the queue on my laptop
6 a.m.
in the
in the
middle
morning.
of 6 a.m. in the morning in
Freezing
Liverpool,
cold.
on this old boshed up bot.
LG.
that I'd bought. It was like, I think the bot was only like £150, and I'd bought 25 pairs before I'd even before I'd even gone in. So that was like, what's that? 1k, 1.5k profit before I'd even entered the store.
Fire. And that was probably like our 10th Yeezy release at that point. We'd done,
Probably more than that.
yeah, probably like the 10th, 15th Yeezy release we'd gone for. And I think like our first Yeezy release is like a great place to like go back to, because that was like this thing that like, kicked it all off for us all and making like big profits, especially for like me and Will and Tom at the start. We basically had like an Adidas back door, so we could literally just bypass the splash page, which was like the queue on Adidas, and we would literally just be checking them out while everybody was waiting in the queue, and we could check out literally as many as we want. But unfortunately at the time we didn't really know how to code, or we weren't too into bots, so we didn't like take advantage of anything in that way. But we was getting like 5-10 pairs every single drop. And back then they was going for like
Profits then, though.
£500 plus. You know, some drops were even going for like £1,000. Like the first zebra drop, that went for like £1,000 to go, didn't it, the
Yeah,
shoe? But they
£1,000
were so
profit.
limited. There was loads of stuff at the start. It was very like everything was just extremely unsaturated. Like there wasn't many people reselling. There was no real bots about. You know, everything was just coming in its like early stages, and then from there it kind of grew and just become harder and harder and harder.
Splash 4 shoes cooked back in the day.
Yeah, literally. But literally, like that was a cracking bot, man, and like
Yeah,
it still even cooks to this day, I believe. But yeah,
We even had the Adidas Confirmed. So Adidas Confirmed, they drop via in-store, but you'd have to, it was like a capture process to win them.
it's like a puzzle, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we got like the puzzle early. So as soon as the picture came up, you had to click the correct pictures, but we'd had it early, so we just pressed it as fast as possible and we'd all win every single time.
Yeah,
So
that was
we just
pretty
go down to
insane.
London,
Yeah.
pick them
If you had
all.
Oh,
the
you
early picture
semi-frozens.
Every
from,
single time we just win.
Yeah, so
It's like
semi-frozens.
4 or 5
What was
drops.
there was like what was stock on those?
Bro, so
Nothing.
Nah,
There was literally like a couple
so
thousand.
you didn't even win one, did you? You didn't even win a pair.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
took
MIA
the
at this
L.
point.
Took the L. And me, Tom,
I got
Will's
2 pairs, I
girlfriend-
think. I
you
reserved
got
2 pairs.
2 different stores.
Yeah.
I reserved
Will's
2
girlfriend.
pairs.
There was some other Joe. I think
Loads
Joe.
of people won.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah,
our
there was.
friends won.
Yeah, all of our
Dan
friends.
was there as well, I believe.
So we had the picture and literally just told friends, family, everyone was just like, get this. Like, this is 100% going to be the picture. As soon as you see this, just tap it straight away.
Yeah. That was
And-
it. You won.
Literally, we could obviously win faster than the normal person because they had to read the question at the top. But
You just
that was
did
it.
picture.
No,
Yeah. Tap the picture
Will-
and take £500 profit.
Nah, it was more than that at the time when it was like £1,000.
Oh,
Yeah,
on
they
the
went
day,
insane.
these were selling for
Semi-frozen.
like £1,000.
Yeah.
Semi-frozens were selling for £1,000.
So ugly
Will's,
as well.
Will's
So
girlfriend had the only pair of 3.5 in the country at the time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
The only
literally.
3.5 semi-frozens in the country because she won them on Adidas.
They only
It-
dropped on Adidas as well, didn't they?
Yep,
Yeah.
they only
Yeah.
dropped on Adidas. There was like 2,000 pairs.
I
of
think there was
them,
2
bro.
or 3k.
Yeah,
I
it
believe
was,
2 or
it was the
3K.
most limited Yeezy release at the time.
Yeah.
Like, it was
And
ridiculous.
then they switched it up and it was like the most.
Yeah, no, it was-
like, they
Literally
just turned that shit on its
Sat on
head.
shelves for months.
it's the
Literally.
worst colorway they've ever made. Like,
Terrible.
And I kept my pair from the first release
I think I kept
to
the
the
first one as
second
well.
release, and I saw them go from the most expensive Yeezy to the cheapest Yeezy real
worst very
fast.
well.
And that is
You can't
why
even sell them for retail.
you don't hold stock in the reselling game. You get rid of it.
Yeah.
I think if
That's one thing
if
as
you got
well.
rid of everything,
Unless it's guaranteed and you know it, like, and you're well educated on that situation.
I think 100%. Like the best thing to do as anyone is just buy and sell straight
If,
away.
Yeah.
if you're trying to build capital, 100%.
Buy and sell.
Like if you buy and
Quickest
sell
way
it,
up.
buy,
100%.
sell it.
Because you was going for
100%.
the release in the first place. So you're happy with the profit. Just take your profit and
100%.
just go.
It's difficult at that time.
Yeah,
when
it is
when
difficult.
the profits come in and it's like
It is.
you're king holder, you as well.
Yeah, I'm the
you've
worst
held
for it.
absolutely
The worst for
everything
it.
you've ever copped. Like that garage is full of like your shoes, mate. Like,
It's the worst. Literally. I think I've still got Nintendo Switches from the first
when
time
they
they
first
resold.
released
I
it.
think
We got
that's
a lot of
Sandy
Nintendo
Mums.
Switches.
That was
Got
a
a couple of them.
guarantee to go down, that one.
Yeah.
We've had some pretty mad.
couple of
reselling
Horizon ones.
experiences. We used to have the
Animal
back door at Foot
Crossings.
Locker Manchester
Animal
as well.
Crossing.
Animal Crossings, cash.
Foot Locker Manchester back door was pretty lit. That was what was the release? It was like a Jordan 1 and we ended up clearing stock on those as well.
Was it Turbo Greens?
No, it was like a grey and orange pair. Because it wasn't turbo greens because on turbo greens they only had 1 pair of 7s.
It was
and
Obsidians.
Barry
Is it
got them
Obsidians?
in- What?
Is it called Obsidian?
Can't remember.
Obsidians, I
You
think
did a
it was.
couple.
Yeah.
You did like red track reds as well, but I think they was Liverpool one.
That
day.
was
That was
Track
the-
red.
that
And
was
yellow
when it
orchids.
first opened.
That is literally yellow. Orcas.
Yellow
Th-
ochre.
This is
Yeah.
a lot of people probably want to know how you get back doors and stuff. So we got the back door through Foot Locker Liverpool just opened as the new flagship store in Europe, and we got the back door because we was trying to go in because it was a brand new store and its flagship. They chucked in a load of like hyped stock into the store so people would go in, but it wasn't really popping like that in Liverpool, like that kind of stock, and the game wasn't big enough for people to just
Especially
be
not
wearing
Jordan
Jordans.
ones back then.
Nah, no one was wearing Jordan 1s in like 2017, 2018. Like it was all about Adidas, and people still weren't even rocking Yeezys because they couldn't afford them. But like we ended up going into the store, and you went in like the day before I came, didn't you? And you was
Yeah.
just like clearing them out, and he was like telling you off, like you can't.
Yeah,
You
they
can't
had
do
so
this.
many pairs.
Yeah. And then we went back the next day, tried it again, and then he ended up complaining as he was like, I can't have you keep asking different members of staff in my store and putting Jordan 1s behind the till. Like these are like limited as hell shoes. It's just not possible. And then he eventually let us clear the stock, I believe.
Yeah, it was like if you can bring cash or different cards, I can put it through like different transactions because obviously if he puts like 10 transactions through on the same card, it's going to flag up to head office that he's putting through 10 of one Jordan. So basically, you just need to not get them in trouble.
Yeah.
But then they're hitting targets, So give them an incentive. So make them hit their target, but without them getting in trouble. That's the
Yeah.
best way to get a backdoor.
And it wasn't until the Yeezy Butter release when we went in store, and then I can't even say his name. Don't even know if he works at Foot Locker anymore.
Yeah, I just want
So he just literally, me and Tom was at the till, we was collecting our purse, and he printed off an empty blank piece of paper from the receipt machine, and then just wrote his phone number down and said, "Come back when this line's gone." That's exactly how it went down.
Classic.
Come back when this line's gone.
Yeah.
And then we just literally emptied the store that day.
Yeah. We went back and he was just like, "So what sizes do you want?" And I think we just like literally wrote down like every size on this piece of paper. And we're just like, "Yeah, that one." So then we came back and he was just like, "Right, here you go." And we're just like, "Wow, fair enough."
If you worked at Foot Locker Liverpool in this time, you'll definitely remember us,
Yeah.
like 100%. And then there was multiple releases. We did it on Zebras when they re-released. We did it on Semi Frozens when they re-released.
Liverpool was just a
We was in,
cookout.
Liverpool's.
we was in a restaurant the night before. In Manchester,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
was just selling purrs on StockX because we knew we had the stock for them already, and we knew when they released the day after that the price would just plummet. So it was just
We sold
selling
so
purrs on
many.
StockX the day before,
We
knowing
sold
that
like
we guaranteed
50
them.
the day before.
Yeah,
Before it
literally.
even gone.
It was literally like 50 to 60 of them.
Yeah.
I think that was on Zebras then.
We must have pictures. We had
Yeah.
in my
I've got a
mum's
picture of
living
me
room.
walking out of JD. I've literally got so many bags like carrying out the store. It was a
We'll get 'em all
joke.
up. It's
It was a
quality.
joke.
Yeah, we had like all the empty, all the cardboard boxes filled with Yeezys in my mum's living room. Literally like stacks and stacks of Yeezys. And then we went to the post office near mine and she was fuming because
Oh,
about to close
she
soon.
hated us, mate.
And we just had like 3 cars full of these Yeezys. It was insane.
Yeah. Because
Although
that was the
they
drop.
are-
That was the only drop-off point around your house, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. So she did not like us. It was a tiny store as well.
filled their stock room with our boxes.
So yeah, that's how we ended up with that back door. And then we got the Manchester one because there was a guy who worked in Liverpool who was like a manager at the time, but he wasn't like the full manager. He went to the Manchester store to manage that one, and we ended up with that one there. And then we've had Curry's as well. We'll talk
leave
about
that one there.
Yeah, we'll talk. We can't talk about Curry's.
Yeah. So by this time we actually didn't. We hadn't run Crep Chief or owned the brand.
No, this was like 17, wasn't it?
I think we'd all tried personal reselling and what, like personal
Personal pages, yeah.
pages reselling, but nothing had popped off.
It was hard.
And then, yeah, he's so hard. Then an opportunity came around. So we saw someone on Instagram selling a page, and I was just like, "What's the page?" And it turned out it was Crep Chief.
We was familiar to Crep Chief at the time, though.
Yeah, we was familiar with the brand,
Hmm.
but it
We hadn't
hadn't
know-
been running for a while.
Well, when
had
they
it?
first
They've been-
launched Crep Chief, we'd message them saying like, do you need stock? Because we had like
Oh,
endless,
yeah, yeah.
endless shoes we were getting every single release. So we was quite
Yeah.
familiar with the brand.
Like we know the guy that was actually running it at the time. We was actually in the groups with him, like the chats and stuff.
Yeah. What was his name? I think we shouted him out on the
Ollie.
last
Yeah.
CEO cast
Ollie?
podcast. didn't we? Was it Ollie?
No.
No, well,
Joe Coggins.
Joe Coggins, that was it, yeah.
Sounds like such a fake name, that. It really does.
Sounds like a trust partner.
Yeah, so basically then we put in an offer for the page just to buy the Instagram and the business. And I think he said no at first. And then we went back with another offer and he was like, yeah, that's fair enough. So we actually bought it for £1,500 just the page.
I think they wanted 2.5 at first, didn't they?
Yeah, I think he wanted £2,500. We went in with £1,500. I was going to buy it, like literally I seen it and I messaged straight away. And I put in the chat
We was
of
in
these.
London.
And I was, I was in London
Can't
as well.
remember what you
I was at some race course. And I was like, if you're not going to buy this, like, he's just like, how much each? I'll just buy it by myself. Just because I think it's worth it, like, why not? It's like a perfect audience. And he was happily all down. This is literally myself, Will, and Brad. So we put £500 in each. I was like, if it doesn't work, we can just do like a reselling group, like we know.
Like we know, yeah. But like
So
we've
we'll do
been in
the-
for years.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I had that thought actually come around at that start because I obviously wasn't there. I wasn't around at that
is
start.
literally. I think
that was like a
So
backup
Mi-
plan.
Yeah,
Milo
it's
had a
literally what I put in
different
the
set
chat,
of
I think.
friends at the time. Like we was all still friends, but
Yeah.
Milo had a different set of friends that he would hang out with, and it was mostly just the three of us, and then sometimes Joe would come out with us, one of our other friends. But it was mostly just the three of us, myself, Tom, and Will.
And before this, me and Will had like first got into business, doing like basically the business model of Crep Chief Notify as under like a business called Let's Cook. And Will, basically how that went down was Will just literally invited me around to his house one day when I was 16, and he was like, because I obviously had like some computer experience prior to this, and I'd like helped Will with bots and stuff like that before, and stuff like that. So basically, Will like invited me around, and he was just like saying like, you know, I basically started this group called Let's Cook, and we were still in One Stop Cop at this time. And so we was like super secretive about it. We wasn't like saying anyone that was doing it or anything like that. And Will was basically just like, so like, you know, I'll offer you like some of the business if you're like willing to make some like monitors and stuff like that. And that's how it kind of went down at first. So now they started making monitors for Will and just like coding and stuff like that. And then Let's Cook really didn't work at the start, and we kind of like carried on with like the OG business model of like, you know, you start a group, you know, you let like 50 people in, you close it off, and you try and basically make the membership resell. Like there was,
So you could backdoor the
yeah,
membership.
there was kind of like this massive stigma around like selling it out, you know, making it hyped, and like making it resell almost like a pair of Yeezys. Like everybody in the industry doing all these business models was all doing the same thing. Like they was just all like addicted to this idea of making it like hyped and stuff like that, which is obviously just because that's all they know, you know, selling Yeezys, selling all these things.
Most of them was run by younger people as well at
Yeah,
the time.
so like people like us.
Like us.
Yeah, literally.
Most people was like probably 16 to 23 running these groups.
Yeah.
24.
Yeah.
So then Let's Cook carried on for a bit, and it just slowly died out, and it was originally on Slack, slowly died out, and then we made another one called the Sneaker Monitor, which was basically just same principle, you know, just monitors for sneakers and stuff like that, and like some other custom stuff in between. Once again, nothing really happened, just kind of died, made like
Well,
a grand or two a month.
Let's Cook did work. Like we
Yeah.
had like a lot of successful drops. Like we had the
Let's Cook was
Supreme,
hopping, mate. I
Louis
mean,
Vuitton.
Yeah.
We made thousands off that. A lot of people made thousands, but because of the member cap of 50 people, you're never going to get that like word of mouth.
And we had
spread and-
no way to get more people in.
And there was a lot of
Exactly, yeah.
hype groups at the time. Like there
Yeah.
was other ones like Express, Peachy, etc. They was the groups to like be in. They, like
yeah, these
they
group,
was
these
the ones that run the industry at the time.
at the time it was like if it was like a Yeezy release, one group put out a tweet and it was just like just pulled a clip, 100 pair of Yeezys, that would go off. But
Yeah.
nowadays, like
It's just like a
we hit like
competition, isn't
100 pair of Yeezys, like
It doesn't even matter at this point. Like
No.
back in the day, information was scarce. So like Express is
Yeah.
no longer a group. But Express used to have the best end monitor, like by
Yeah.
off-white
Yeah.
monitor.
yeah, Off-White was pretty
Literally
lit.
the best off-white
Fair
monitor for when the off-white Nikes were restocking on there. They was killing it. They was absolutely killing it.
until we made ours.
But now,
yeah, we even made one as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and ours took stock every single time.
Every time, literally.
We've got-
You was running it like
cocked
with
it.
like proxies or anything when you or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
It
like
was-
literally jammed. It was a podged up job.
If anybody knows-
but
if
it
any-
was working like
Yeah.
flawlessly.
if anybody knows about coding and stuff like that, I'll basically explain it now. It's basically just a Selenium monitor, because Off-White use Cloudflare, which is like a bot protection. You have to basically solve a challenge that only browsers can solve. So if you're just like making a normal monitor, you can't just monitor the website. So you had to use Selenium, which is ultra slow, ultra high resource for your computer, costs burning bandwidth, so you can't run proxies because you can't pay for the bandwidth. And all these things, but eventually that worked. And then later I found out the way there was another way to do it, which was literally you downloaded a package off the internet, you installed that, and then you could just monitor Off-White. But like at the time, nobody knew that, and I only found that out years later. And like the guy now it's now a paid service, so you basically pay this one guy, and he lets you like scrape Cloudflare websites. And basically that's it. At the time, it was super easy to do, but I had no idea.
Neither did anyone else, mate.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
this is literally the only ones
It
doing
was
it.
literally insane.
And then you got to talk about Off-White Remoas, man, when they dropped. And you plugged those.
I think that was
Even then before that, Super
That was onto a
Remoas.
different group though. So they used to have Let's Cook, and then Will and Milo
Sneaker
started another
Monitor.
one called the Sneaker Monitor. And then it was literally the same kind of, literally exactly the same concept, but rebranded.
Yeah.
And then you guys had literally. So if anyone knows about the Off-White Remoas, when they first released, they cost like £850, maybe
Yeah,
even £750, and then they was going for like £2,000, over £2,000, and it was like crazy. And they was only restocking on Rimowa.
And we had a bulk buyer for that as well.
I literally had a bulk buy for that, but no one was monitoring Rimowa. No one.
Yeah, barrows.
Because
Literally, no one.
It was
monitoring
extremely
Rimowa.
And
unsaturated.
we restocked every single day. So every
Literally
single day.
every
How
single
much
day.
profit was it per
It was
remote
like
as well?
1.2k profit.
Yeah, each.
On every single one.
Every single one.
And they were
Restocking
restocking
every day.
and the industry weren't monitoring them.
No.
Not a single. group in the
1.2k
industry.
profit, and it's restocking every
It
single
was
day.
like 10,
Insane.
11 a.m. in the morning, wasn't it? Every time. Every time I literally remember I'd be in college. And I'd just be like, I remember copying one night in college for the first time, and I was like, fucking hell, this is insane.
I remember
This is
going
like
to Nando's
serious
once.
money, mate.
Yeah.
You met us on the way to Nando's. He was like, yeah, I've just bought one like, in the car, like obviously a traffic light or whatever. But if he was passenger, but whatever. Yeah, you bought one on the way there. So you just pulled up to Nando's. That made £1,000. He was like 17 years old.
Just pulled up to Nando's, making £1,000 at
Literally,
17.
Nando's, mate, just pulled up, just caught one.
But again,
Literally,
initially,
That was
the
my
way-
that was my biggest like ever profit at the time. Like I'd never even come
sure.
close. Like even with Yeezys
Yeah.
and stuff, because at the time that I got into it, like the profits weren't ridiculous. But
On
like,
one single product, that was
yeah, that
probably
was
like
an insane one. Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the same one for like a clear plastic case.
And you got loads of them. How many did you get each?
I think I got 3.
I got
got 4.
a load.
You got so many. You basically that built up a lot of your net worth, like in terms of like literally,
Yeah,
they
mate.
sorted you out
We
big
fed
time.
off the Butters as well, so
Yeah.
we just cleared loads of money from
It was
Butters.
a sick some of that.
I'm still living off Off-White remote money. No joke,
day.
mate. To this day, mate.
Feels like
Still got shopping. I'm like, cheers, remote.
It was crazy. No one was doing it. No one was.
There was just
monitoring
no one making monitors back then.
No,
And
but
then-
the way that they actually released was Selfridges put an email out or something, and it was just like, sign up to
Harrods
this
it
link.
was. It was
Yeah,
Harrods,
Harrods, that's what it was.
Mm.
Harrods was just like, sign up to this link. And it was just like a normal social media kind of post. No,
It's
like,
like a
hype.
email grab, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
And
was
Harrods
proper-
didn't really release that much stuff at the time either, so it was
never.
like so unheard of.
Never. And then this just came out. They were rumoured to have them, but it was rumoured for only Harrods VIP. Like if you're a Harrods VIP, you could reserve them, obviously. But they came out, and obviously you needed one of these groups, so we posted the link, and literally most people in the group must have got a decent amount of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you was in the sneak monitor and you didn't get them at the time, you're a loser.
You probably just weren't
you
using
weren't,
it.
You weren't using the
Yeah, you just
system.
weren't using the
You
group.
weren't using it.
Oh,
And
that
that would have
was so
paid.
easy.
That would pay for 2 years membership.
And then Tom over here managed to swindle his way into another one, and then we managed to use this method as well. So go on.
Yeah. So a lot of, the thing is about reselling.
Shout out to Zero at Remoa.
The thing is
Mate.
about reselling, you actually need to jig a lot of stuff. So if you go in store
Just gotta try.
and it's like
Flag it.
there's only one pair, and you get to the till and it's like, yeah, I'm only having one pair, and it's like, oh, but my brother's at home and he's like really wants this pair, and he's in work and he's working 9 to 5, like he needs a pair. Like you've got to jig your way into
He
another
needs
pair.
this
You
pair.
need to lie.
Yeah, you need to lie your way into more
You need to
profit.
be a professional liar.
So what happened was I actually went on the Off-White website and I got so angry that I couldn't check out, and these people were checking out, that I added basically there's a jig that called sock jig. So you add socks to your cart and it basically forces you to check out. So what I did was I added the cheapest remoter to cart to try and check this Off-White on out. And what happened was I accidentally checked out the really cheap one. So then I rang up the customer services like, I've just checked out the Off-White remote, but it's saying on my order confirmation that it's this normal like everyday remote. She was like, oh, I'll check into it. A few hours passed and he rang me back. And he was like, so it seems there's been a technical difficulty, like we'll manually process the order for this Off-White remote. And I was like, oh my God, this is a jig this. And he passed me like the manager's contact details and he was emailing me and being really nice. And then like a day passed and I let that order process till it shipped, and I messaged him back and I was like, my brother wants one of these. My brother wants one of these. Really wants one of these. He's seen mine. Oh my God, he's buzzing.
But there's
And
a
he was
guy who worked at Remoa who'd never seen anything from Remoa resell
No.
before. Like you don't know any
No,
difference.
no,
It's
no,
just
no,
like, yeah,
never.
obviously brother wants one as well.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
sick.
never.
Like,
Yeah,
So he was
clear,
like, right.
transparent case. Cash.
Literally, right, I'll do it. And then
Cheers, mate.
I had the second one. Got the second one, took a photo, sent the guy another photo, and I was like, oh my God, my mum's coming and ordering me next week. It's her birthday. I'll send her one. I literally photoshopped a photo of 2 remotes like in an airport. I literally remember it. And he sent it. And he was like, right, I'll do it again. But this is your final one. And I was like, fair enough. So that's how I jigged like 2 more. And that made me like $4,000.
yeah. And then
Just like that.
And then Tom obviously told it all to us. And then so when I got my first initial remote, I had a ghost charge on PayPal. So like the charge had like gone to pending, but I hadn't actually had any money taken or anything. It just showed as pending in my PayPal. So I messaged, and it was still there like a week later.
Yeah.
So I just emailed the sitting person that Tom had been to and said, I've got this charge on my PayPal and I've still no suitcase. So he just sent me a suitcase.
Did you have to pay retail again?
I had to pay again.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had to
retail.
pay again. Yeah.
But
But then,
retail's-
then the charge just
Yeah,
said,
it's
he's like,
fine.
Retail's fine, mate.
he just dropped the charge, and then no problem. I had my suitcase come. It was bang on, and then we used this exact same method, like to a few different people in the group. So like there was Siraj at the time. I sent it to him. The same screenshot, everything. The same screenshot, the same email. Just send him this, and he'll send you one. It's exactly what
That's it.
happened.
That's it,
Like,
literally.
they're literally exactly the same screenshot that I had used, and we just sent it around the group, and everyone used it, and just got free remotes. Not free, but free cash. Like,
So people, you're probably thinking, you know, these reselling stories sound really great and we're all making loads of profits from reselling. And people, if you want to get involved in reselling, this is exactly what we do here at Crep Chief. We basically teach you how to resell, what to buy, where to sell, every single thing in between, how to become a pro reseller and everything like that. And if you want to do this and you want to start reselling, you want to start reselling sneakers, PS5s, all these random items just like we was, literally click the link below, head over to our website, sign up to the monthly membership, and people, I will guarantee you will not regret it.
We're back.
Back again.
So I think we start from when we actually got the brand Crep Chief, the business, and how we developed it, where you see it is today.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Massively.
So Crep Chief actually wasn't as you know it to this day. It was actually like a personal shopping page, and that's what we bought and intended to use it for in its first purpose.
Because we thought we would be the best personal shoppers in the world.
Yeah. So we was literally we was getting all the stock. So it was just like these personal pages just using all this stock. So we'll just be the best, obviously, because we're getting it for retail.
All the personal shoppers that you see now that are popping, we was supplying them all the streetwear stock back in the day.
Yeah.
All the big ones.
Like the biggest ones.
The biggest ones that you see right now on Instagram, we was giving them streetwear stock.
But they're obviously buying off us, so their margins are a lot less than the margins that we could make. So we was just like, we'll just cut them out, and we'll just
make that extra profit.
We'll just make the extra money that they're making and the extra money that we're making. It's just a no-brainer, and we'll just make loads of money. But it didn't go down like that. It wasn't as easy as that. It's actually a lot harder work than you think. So you get a lot of people messaging the page like, I want this pair, I want this size. A lot, I'd say 95% of people genuinely flake in the end.
Yeah, most people. Back then, maybe not so now. We don't run a personal shopping page now, but I reckon because more people are into streetwear and Jordans and Yeezys and stuff.
For sure. But back then it was literally like £600 sneakers, £700 sneakers. They weren't the £200 sneakers and stuff. They just didn't really.
It didn't exist.
Didn't exist.
Yeah. If they didn't do a bricks. Like,
yeah, they were.
£100 profit shoe back in the day was pretty much like a brick. Like
you question if you was going for it. But nowadays you can you may as well just churn all the profit.
You every single profit you can get.
So we ran that for, how long did we run that for?
6 months.
6 months, and we realised that was so fucking hard. So we went back to what we knew, starting resale groups, teaching people how to buy a product, how to sell it. Something that we'd always done, and it was our bread and butter. We didn't know how to fuck it up. Like it wasn't, like we didn't do it wrong. We aren't bad resellers. That's like what we are. We're perfect at that. So we started the group, and it was initially capped. How many members did we cap it to?
We didn't cap it on the initial release, but we launched it in June 15th, 2019. And then we just tried to sell as many as we could at the start, and then we shut it after 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then from there it was a monthly release, every single month. And like it was just how many people can get in 24 hours. That was it.
Yeah. Every month, like we do, 24-hour drop, and that was it. How many members do you think we had on the initial day of sign up?
I reckon we topped it at like 120, 130, and then it just started. It did slowly start to go down.
Yeah,
we had no idea how to market. We had no marketing experience, and that's also why we failed at the personal shopping thing. We'd had no marketing experience. We didn't know how to do it. So we capped it out at 120, and then give it. So TG, probably a lot of you know TG is a YouTuber, a car YouTuber. He originally owned the page. And then we stayed in contact with Tom. He was just buying bits from us, Supreme bits, sneakers, etc. And then we came to the idea that it was like, screw it, we'll ask him for promotion because we had a relationship. A YouTube integration, and then he gave us a figure that we couldn't afford. At the time, still kids, just didn't want to pay that kind of money for integrations. And then we left it for like a month, and then we went back to him again with the second idea. The same idea, but a second time round, and he just came back to us and like, what about if I jump on it? He saw the potential of like just literally expanding a group at £30 a month, and he was like, well, let me jump on it with you guys, and I'll help build the business. So we did that. We agreed it in like October 2019, and then it took till December to actually go through. Tom and Will went and met him in London, talked it over.
Yeah, so we literally went down, we talked it over in like a little coffee shop. And he was like, oh, like, how many people are you expecting? And he said, like, a few thousand. Me and Will looked at each other and was like, a few thousand, like, no group's got a few thousand.
No group.
We knew it was possible. Like, it's totally possible to have a few thousand people reselling. Like the market's so big, but we just hadn't heard those numbers. We were just like, that's crazy, like that's nuts. But he was so confident, literally pushed us over. He was like, no problem, like literally you can do this. Like if you're saying that you can accommodate for that many people, it's totally doable. We can just do it.
100%. It's a
So we went
no-brainer.
back- Yeah, we went back and we all discussed it and was like, this is no-brainer. We'll just do that. We'll come in on the business and it's fine. And then
we just ran it from there. That was all agreed, and then we started the company December 12th, 2019, and then relaunched December 22nd, and then just that's been the Crep Chief. It's not the same obviously group, but it's evolved since then. But that was the initial start properly of Crep Chief Notify. December 22nd.
open all the time.
Open all the time, never shut. Was just available to buy, like whenever you wanted to. And it was so against the industry. No one else had done it. Literally no one else in the industry had done it. At that point, we realised when we relaunched that a lot of the information that was like going round was like that like groups would get. It got to a point where it wasn't exclusive. People were just leaking it to other groups.
Yeah.
So information was just available for everyone. Like if you was in a group, you was getting the information. It might have been a minute slower than another group, but the chances are next week your group will have the information quicker than the other group.
Yeah, it was just 90% of groups just had one provider for each special thing. So
Yep.
one group, well, all 90% of groups would just have like one provider for sneakers. And they were delivering all the information to 90% of the sneakers group.
Yep.
One would have a flip specialist or whatever. Like,
Well, at that point, there was no profitable items. Like,
Yeah,
there's
there
no
was-
like classic.
yeah. It was
Not
all
to the
sneakers
extent
at the
of
time,
how
yeah.
it was
genuinely
now.
just sneakers, but everyone was getting the same information on the same monitors from one provider. There was no kind of like in-house thing, so everyone was just kind of the same thing,
company,
but with just
brand.
different branding.
Yeah.
That was literally it. It was just whatever you fancied. There was the real niche people that obviously were doing the in-house stuff, but they were just,
And they was the
They're
ones who
what alpha
succeeded.
groups
Yeah.
are essentially now.
yeah, they
but
were
like,
the ones that did
Groups
succeed.
like that couldn't really afford to pay for like the resources, so that's like the big thing about having so many members. We can afford to get a full development team, full graphic design team, and have every part of the business like operating at its full potential.
It's a massive thing that like it's a lot of why
It's a
a lot of groups
fundamental
ended up
factor.
falling off, because obviously we was like a huge catalyst in the industry and just came out of nowhere and just started having thousands of members. So then providers now want to charge more money for their services.
Even though it's
So
the
then-
same service. Like,
so then
just
it's like,
doesn't
well,
work.
if Crep Chief Notify is paying me this amount of money, why would I sell it to you at this amount of money? So they put the price up for other people, which then forces the industry to just change at that
Yeah.
point.
So for a good example for that, so let's just say, let's go back to when you said let's cook. Let's say, what providers did you have? You had you doing, what did you-
Did we have any providers?
I don't think you had,
No, I think we might have had like one monitor for like Shopify, which is like £200 a month.
but that's
Yeah.
again just
But
like
then-
a general
Shopify
thing.
monitor,
Yeah.
So
everyone
you
went
had
in.
It
two
wasn't-
people doing like you doing minor monitors,
Yeah.
one guy doing Shopify providing for about
Well, yeah, exactly.
200
because it
groups.
provides for like 20
And
different
that's-
groups. And
yeah, and you've got
Yeah,
like
it's
120
largely
members. So the back end of Crep Chief Notify right now, for people that don't know, how many staff,
Yeah,
like
it's
the
huge.
stuff that goes in
20,
the infrastructure of our
30
company right now is like no
It's
other
insane.
group.
We've got over 30 staff, like not all full time, but there's a hell of a lot of them that are full time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of
And
people
we-
involved.
We don't outsource
nothing.
any information. I think literally, as far as I'm aware, we don't really outsource anything. The only thing we outsource is literally some sneaker monitors, but like nothing major there. And other than that, literally nothing's outsourced. Everything's done in-house. All the profitable items monitors are made by us, everything like that. And that's why they're so good. That's why they're unbeatable, is because they're made by us. And as soon as they break, we fix them. And like, we're constantly looking to improve, get better, and find new items and things like that.
We literally have like 4 developers, 2 of them full time, 2 of them part time.
Yep. Making monitors, making Discord bots, infrastructure. And there's a lot of infrastructure around CCN that people don't necessarily understand, like in the actual server, that like for the last like 8 to 10 months, one of our developers realistically has been doing nothing other than making like Discord bots and like building out the infrastructure in CCN and not doing any monitors. And that's how much work there is. And that's why
9 to 5.
that's why our Discord server is possibly one of the best Discord servers out there, because we've put so much time and effort into making it as simple as possible, refining everything, and really just like making new things and like things that people haven't made before, and like just making them ourselves.
So we spotted a gap in the market with that, in terms of like everyone was getting the same information, and it was going to literally thousands and thousands of people already. So it was like, why can't you just have them all in one group and just make loads, like just make money from it?
And that's like the fundamental factor that determined CCN's success, was the fact that it was not closed anymore, it was open, anybody could join, and then we capitalised on the initial thing that got us all into reselling. At one point in time, us four lads did not resell. We did not have any idea about reselling. But one day we ticked over to becoming resellers, and that's basically what Crep Chief Notify is doing. Is taking the everyday person and letting them resell, teaching them how to resell. So if you're just a normal person and you've never stole a sneaker in your life, Crep Chief Notify is literally designed for you. That is what we've focused on, and that's where we've seen the success, and that's where all of us came from. At one point we didn't know anything.
So that was something we didn't talk about actually, is that like, so when we initially launched Crep Chief Notify off of the back of the Crep Chief page, we was aiming at people that weren't in the industry. Like, we were just aiming at Crep
We
Chief's
didn't really
following.
realise it at first though.
No, we almost didn't realise it. Almost
It wasn't
hit us in
necessarily
the
thought
face.
about, but that's
Nope.
what we was doing.
Yeah.
And then it came to it when we met with Tom TG, and it was just like, we're just going to target normal people, like
Then
the
that's when it hit.
everyday person who wasn't a reseller, and just teach them how to do it. Like,
And then after that we was like, you know, right, so now let's look at everybody in England and say, you know, how many people actually would be interested in reselling? You know, thousands upon thousands of people. You know, who doesn't want to make extra money? Like, who doesn't want to make £1,000, £2,000 per month from working from home, working whenever they want? They don't have to work any shit job where you have to work like 8-hour shifts, 9-hour shifts, you know, cleaning plates, serving people, like laborious work like that. You know, when you can just sign up to Crep Chief Notify instead and make £1,000, £2,000 a month and become a reseller and do it when you want, as you want, and it's way easier. You have to do way less work. It's just a no-brainer, and that's like the fundamental like factor in CCN's business model, but that changed from every other competitor
Like
was the fact that was doing that.
probably the most substantial change in the industry was when COVID hit. Literally
Mhm.
4 months after we relaunched Notify in December. So obviously everyone knows it came in March, and we had the lockdowns, and then
Things went rocky at the start.
things wasn't going too great. When
I remember.
especially when COVID hit, we was having no sign-ups and just cancels, because obviously the first thing everyone cancels is subscriptions, like when it comes to like security and stuff like that. So we was all worrying, and then all of a sudden, literally like 2-3 weeks later after the lockdown started, everyone somehow just wanted to start reselling.
Literally,
Yeah.
because no one had
No one
anything
was
to
making-
do.
Well, everyone was on furlough, weren't they? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was doing nothing, so it's like, well, why don't I just try out the side hustle? Why don't I try out this thing? And it just went
fun
from
as
there.
well. It's not just like about making money. It's fun. Like you're
Yeah.
doing something different to your everyday job.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not hard.
You
get
make money off
hooked.
your own back as well.
Yeah.
You feel like you actually are like an entrepreneur at that point.
Yeah, it's a first step into becoming an entrepreneur, and that's literally
Someone
how
left
all
a
of
comment
us.
that on TikTok the other day. So we did the TikTok with Josh, and someone said £600 a month. Like, it's nothing at 16 or whatever, chatting loads of rubbish. And someone was like, doesn't matter whether you're earning £1,000 a month now. He's doing it off his own back, and he's
Yeah.
probably going to be in a better position than you are.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what all of us became. We was all resellers. We all had the idea of being entrepreneurs and becoming like successful businessmen and all these things. But our first step in that road was becoming a reseller. And I think it's one of the greatest steps you'll ever learn, because it teaches you about basic principles, teaches you about making Instagram pages, you know, marketing, selling to local people around you, you know, how you can sell more, how you can buy more, and all these things. It's like a little business that anybody can do, and it'll teach you
Buy
about business to
themselves.
start your next business, which will be a next step. And that's how it all came about from us. It started off small. It started off with 30 members, and then it went to like 80 members, and then 150 members, and then so forth and so forth and so forth, and we're here now
To the day we are now, where we have to transition from Discord.
into our own app, which is currently in review with Apple.
Hopefully
So that's the next big step for Crep Chief. We've literally come to a point now where we've almost dried out Discord's
We can't make it any better.
capability.
Yeah, for all its features and capability, we definitely need our own thing.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
pushed it too far. Like the stuff that you see in our Discord, which is basically a chat platform that we use to send the information out to users, we've pushed that so far that you'll never see features that we use anywhere else on Discord.
Literally,
Like
still to this
nowhere.
day, still don't see them to this day.
No,
You
they
literally don't.
look like they're featured into Discord, but those features aren't on Discord.
They're all like
Yeah.
custom
Yeah.
coded features.
Literally, like you look at our Discord server, and it is. We have put so much time and effort into refining our Discord. Like literally every week, like how can we make it better? What can we add this week? How can members benefit? How can they profit? Like that's like I don't know. We look at a lot of other Discord groups, and you're just like, well, like you can clearly tell
so-
you're not putting in much effort.
Yeah, it's
like,
insane when you look at our Discord channels and someone else's. The information is just crazy. Like the way that it's put out to
Presented,
members
like,
is
just delivered to
crazy.
Yeah, literally. Everything's different. And we've hit this point now, and we was on the wall about whether we should make an app for a while, because people in the like members, customers didn't necessarily, you know, people weren't necessarily such big advocates for it. But I believe that's because, you know, people they don't like change, and I promise you, everyone, once this app comes out and we make
So
it what
much
it's going to be, it'll be 10 times better. And we've hit this point now where we can't make this business significantly better in terms of a product. We can't make the product significantly better unless we make an app. And you know what I mean, everybody's goal for your business is the ultimate driving factor is having the best product, and that's where you're going to see the most success. And if you can't make your product better, which is in CCN has been stagnated for a while because of we're stuck on Discord and there's nothing we can really do to make it significantly better. So that's a massive step.
I do think
And
the whole user experience would just be 10 times better.
10 times
A
better.
million times
Way
better.
more refined.
With
way
the
better.
market of hitting any beginner and teaching them how to resell,
Yeah.
jumping them onto a Discord channel, there's something that they've never used before. It's quite hard. It's quite
100%.
hard.
People still DM to this day about it. Like, I've joined up and the Discord is too complicated. And
Yeah,
Discord
it's
is
so
a complicated platform
It
if
is.
you've never used it before. It's like using Instagram or using a platform like that when you've never used it before. There's
Where
so
do you
many
go?
sections and like features that you need to work out. It takes a couple of weeks, and that's what we find. If you're going to sign up to Crep Chief Notify, at least give it a couple of weeks to get your head around Discord, because that's like the fundamental blocker to everyone, and that's what we need to fix.
But once you crack Discord, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Once you learn how to navigate Discord,
Yeah,
it's no
it's
problem.
perfect.
You understand where everything is. You understand where you need to go for what information. It's just a case of understanding it. I reckon most people figure it out in a week
Yeah.
or two.
It's just the
Yeah,
onboarding.
100%.
the onboarding's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you
Especially
have
it's
to
something
make
brand
this
new,
learning
like,
curve.
Exactly.
It's like it's learning a new skill. Like, you're not going to understand it right away. Like, if you Google how to do accounting and you're a marketer, you don't know how, you've not got a clue how you word to start,
No.
and it'll take you a few weeks to work out how to figure
You just got to start somewhere.
an accounting software, but you'll get it if you carry on doing it. Like,
Literally.
Keep going.
it's not like with CCN, like, people are like, well, I've not made any profits. Like, well, I could give you 1,000 people last week that all was
Literally.
profiting. Like, it's just
It's too easy at this
Yeah.
point. Once you actually know how to resell, it's too easy. Like, for us guys, it's literally jokes. We laugh about it all the time. Like the money you can make, and like we should literally tally it up from the YouTube videos how much money we've made, because it's just too easy. It's actually too easy. Like, you just wait for the restock, buy the item, when it comes, sell it on eBay, and you're done. And you just do this over and over and over again. And we've been doing it for the last 5-6 years, and not once has it not worked. Not once.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Especially
Nothing
the whole
actually
refund policy.
works. It's just the
You can't
basis
fail.
of any business.
And that's
Someone
another
buys
great
product
thing.
and sells it for more.
Yeah.
Like, that is it. That's business.
It's,
Like,
it's literally the most simple business in the world. You buy something from online and you sell it on eBay. Like, it's so simple.
And that's what I mean. It's like, and that's why it's the greatest side hustle, is because it's extremely easy to understand. It's an extremely basic concept. You don't have to learn all these things. You don't have to just put trust in somebody else. You just have to kind of look at the logic behind it. You have to just type in PlayStation 5 on eBay. You have to look that it's selling for £550, £580, £600. Then you look at the retail price and you look that it's sold out everywhere. Then you just put them three things together, and that should just make you sign up in yourself, because we're telling you, as soon as these items come back in stock, we're just going to tell you, and you're just going to buy them and you're going to sell them like they're selling on eBay every single day, and they have been for the last
Multiple times a
year.
week.
Yeah.
Literally, multiple times a week.
For the last 16 months, I've been selling that on eBay. It's not like
And there's endless stuff. There's like graphics cards, there's sneakers all
And
the
there's
time.
always new stuff.
There's
random
the air
products.
wraps. The air wraps are 350, 450,
450.
450, and the gold ones now selling for like £900.
Yeah.
We've had so many of them.
Yeah, we had
I know
like
those
13,
crypto
14.
Wi-Fi, helium miners, stuff
Helium
like
miners,
that.
yeah.
Like the stuff that you just never would expect. Like, you
Never heard of half
you
the
just
stuff.
never heard of half the stuff. So that's the thing. You
never
don't know it
expect,
resells.
like Dyson curlers. That they're called Dyson Airwraps. Why would that product resell? Like, why would that product resell?
And why
But
does it go
does,
up? Like, in the last week, they've gone up significantly. And why is that? Because Mother's Day. Like, all these factors genuinely
Yeah.
change the price more than you realise.
Literally.
And that's
Yeah.
what we're here to do. Literally, we take the hard work out of it.
And all the
Yeah,
seasonal factors are a huge part of it. Like, there's
Yeah.
Halloween, there's Mother's Day, like I
Insane.
said, Valentine's
Summer.
Day.
Summer,
Yeah.
best one.
Summer's the
So,
biggest
summer's
one.
the best time to get involved,
And
because
at
there's
least
just
things aren't
so
going
many
away.
products.
Yeah.
Because you're also not going from just in-store products. You're now taking it outside in the summer,
Yeah.
because like you've got more to do outside in the summer.
And like, and I think with like events and ticket reselling that's coming to Crep Chief Notify soon, there's like even more stuff. It's not only you've got all these outdoor items that are going to resell. Like, we posted some outdoor heaters, £23 for a really good outdoor heater on Amazon. Loads of people bought them and that, and we're expecting them in summer to go for like 80, 90 quid. And it's just It's ridiculous. £23 for an outdoor heater. That's a steal, mate.
Yeah.
And people will be buying these willy-nilly
And
and something,
Aldi's
mate.
got
Aldi's a big one.
thousands of these
Aldi's
products because
nuts.
Aldi sells
Oh,
them at
Aldi's great.
such a cheap price. It competes with like normal garden centre prices like Bent's, etc.
It's cheaper.
It cuts it,
£100
that's
cheaper.
the point,
cheaper.
yeah.
Exactly. So
Completely
when-
cuts the market.
So when you buy them from Aldi at the cheaper price, you sell them at market price, which
Yeah.
is what everything else is selling for. Same quality product, but
Yeah.
it goes for the actual market price, and you take your cut.
Literally.
And it's exactly what Bent's are doing, exactly what all the other garden centres are doing. They're buying the same places that Aldi's buying,
Literally.
or whatever, and then they're selling them.
But the
just for
Aldi,
a
but
small
Bent's is not
profit.
selling out like Aldi's selling out.
Exactly.
Like no, like people just.
And Aldi
Aldi's
have
has
their
so
own
much
like line of stuff. So Aldi have like garden. I think it's called Garden Line or something like that. And it's basically like it's insanely
It's all
cheap.
coming from
It's
Sainsbury's.
almost £100 to £150 cheaper than any of the competitors, which from Aldi's standpoint is insane because I don't know why they're like.
Because
just
they're getting
selling out
people
Yeah,
around
they're
the
just
store.
being a good
Aldi.
business. They're just
Like, Aldi's
selling
built a
cheap
really good
products.
brand as
Yeah,
well.
they've killed it, mate. They've absolutely killed it, and they bring out so many things. Like we had Kevin the Carrots, and that was one of our. That's how our first flip specialist ended up joining with us, called Josh, and he basically tried telling other people that this Kevin the Carrot would like resell, and nobody believed him. And then Will over here was like, and I put like Will in touch with Josh because I knew Josh from like growing up, and he just told Will, and Will was like, you know what, that sounds great, mate. Let's do it. Let's buy them and let's sell them. And they've got a returns policy, so they don't resell. Worst comes to worst, we send them back. And then
these were like what, £9?
Yeah,
and they sold for like 30, 40 quid, didn't they? Maybe more.
Well, yeah, you get the bundles which were like 15 quid, and you sell for like the bundle was like £100 to sell.
Yeah,
And
Insane.
then the big carrot was like 15 quid or something. I sold it for like 150.
I remember telling my mum about these. She's like, I've heard about these Kevin the Carrots. Like they
Yeah,
actually hit the
a lot of
news.
people
these,
know the
Yeah.
Kevin the Carrot,
but they didn't actually realise like you could actually buy them though.
Yeah.
Like they were talked about selling out, but there was no like they sold out for a profit. Like you could buy them for a profit. It was just
and
like
again with Crep Chief, like you get notified of all the restocks.
yeah.
So every day, every few days,
Aldi
they'll be
restocks them like every
restocking.
day
Yeah,
when
Aldi's
they're
literally
on.
all the time. So I bought so many of them hedgehogs. I think I've still got some, but they were just free money. Little,
Like the
little
remember those heart
hedgehogs.
mirrors? Like heart mirrors.
They do
were
little
like
stuff.
There's literally just so much stuff that
And
resells.
even if you want to like pick up a few pieces for yourself, like when we moved into here, like we moved in literally like 12 months ago. It's coming up for summer. We quite fancied some outdoor furniture. Where did we go? Aldi.
Yeah,
and
we-
we managed to get it because it was cheap and because we had the restock monitors, and now we've got outside garden furniture.
Same
And
with
then-
the barbecue, mate.
Yeah, barbecue.
Yeah, loads
And
of
then,
things.
and the best thing was, our cleaner came around and she was like, you know what? I really like that couch. Where'd you get it from? And we was like, well,
Sign
funny
up
you
to Code
ask.
Chief Notify.
Yeah, it's sold out everywhere, and it's only like 200 quid to buy, and it's a quality couch for 200 quid, and it's literally like insane. And then that's just where it all started, and that was all really started around the COVID time. So as soon as COVID hit, all these products just went mad. Like
Especially
Nintendo
outdoor
Switches,
garden furniture.
hot tubs, lazy spas, and lazy spas was one of CCN's greatest items ever. You could make £1,000 profit off the best one, and it was like £1,000 to buy. You sold it for 2,000, and boom, Bob's your uncle, mate. You're making £1,000 every single go. He was restocking all the time, and that's where we saw the massive successes because we could make our own monitors, and we had all these like items that we were reselling. We basically just made all these monitors for all these websites, and nobody else was monitoring them because barely anybody has the capability to monitor them for some reason. I don't know. We were just lucky
just
that
slow.
yeah.
They're just not on it because they're using providers. You've got to ask their provider to take time off the monitors they're already doing, and that's probably run by like one lad.
guy, one young lad.
One lad, definitely. He's like 16, 17. He's got to go to school in the morning, come back home, make a tea, and then fix
got
some monitors
motivation
at the end.
issues.
Yeah, literally, like he's got to play COD
Rather
at
than
night.
just
Like,
fix
it's just
that
not going to do
morning.
it.
And it's only like a 10-minute fix most of the time.
100%.
It's
Literally.
just insane.
And it's just at this point, not many people can compete. There's obviously are people who can compete, but like when you actually boil everything down to like an hourly basis, you know, everything just comes back down to this like, you know, time allocation. Like, you know, if you can invest X hours every single day, whereas somebody else can invest X hours every single day, and if you're doing 4 times as many hours and you work 4 times as hard, you know, you're going to be 4 times as better. Like, you know, something like that.
Facts. That is
Facts.
facts. And I think that's a nice way to end on the first podcast.
Have you got any more questions that we need to answer?
Should we run on to the just do
I've
some
got 'em.
quick fire questions from the Crep Chief Notify page?
Biggest L you've ever taken in reselling?
Let's make it fast, boys.
Biggest Dior ones, I think. So we bought them at, I think we paid £10,000.
Wait, which pair is this one? The one behind us?
No, no.
These ones.
These
Yeah,
ones. Oh, I
paid-
thought you was on about the other ones that you had with thingy in it. Did it even sell out
Which one?
when you did the raffle thing?
Oh no, that's a different. That's
That's a different L.
This is a bigger L though, to be honest.
Yeah, it's big.
So we paid £10,000 for these, and they're now worth £6,000.
Nice £4,000 loss.
Biggest,
Other than
But
that,
we
biggest
are
L.
potentially the greatest sneaker of all time in our hands. So.
Yeah.
Trying to think any other
Does
bigger
your
L's than
server
that.
provide bot services?
No,
There
not
you go.
really.
No.
There is
Bots
bot
are just not a
inspection,
thing.
but
Potentially sneaker slots coming soon though.
Yeah.
Potential.
Like we did speak about bots earlier in the program, earlier in the episode, but that's the market's different now. It's adapted.
Yeah.
What would you like to do in the future?
What's the question? Own a product that's insanely good and it's recognised by everyone for being insanely good and making something that like changes the world. Personally, for me, that's a massive goal of mine at some point, is to literally make something so good, so great that people are like, this was great and it like helps the world. That's like one of my personal goals, is to make something insane.
I think that follows all the way around, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Uh,
I'd quite like to do something in watches as well. I like watches.
One last question, I think we should end on this one. I don't have the most money, but I grind. How should I start?
Start up.
Literally depends
If
how much
you're
money
willing
you've
to
got.
grind and you've got £200 in your bank account, sign up, because
Sign up right now.
you can
Don't
just
think
literally
about it.
enter. You can enter the sneaker raffles. You can get the sneaker raffles. If you're willing to grind, you can make the money. I
So
promise.
most sneakers retail at like £100 to £150. So if you've got £200 in the bank, like you spend £30, you're down to £170. You enter the sneaker raffles, you cop a sneaker, literally £130. You've still got your difference, your £40 difference, and then you profit on your sneaker of like what, £100. So now you're up. Like
Do
Yeah.
that 3 times,
There's these
and then you can buy the most expensive product and
You
and
should fashion it
and then
out.
double your cash, and then go from there, rinse, repeat every week, and then
I think the most I've never even talked about this to anyone, to be fair, but I think the most expensive product we sell in in CCN,
Provide information on.
provide information on is like literally like £600-700. So like it's achievable for anyone to just get in and buy a product.
There
and
was some
resell.
graphics cards, but other than that,
But even
Yeah.
then,
you can start. So we say you can start for
£1,400 for a
Yeah,
£39.
£200 to £300 is like a good starting budget.
Yeah.
If you got
Yeah.
500, great. If you
You're
got
in the
anything
money.
more than 500, you're having it off. Like,
Yeah,
you
and that's
just can buy
the
more at once.
yeah,
Mm.
that's the fundamental factor which will determine how much money you can make every single month, is how much cash you have in the bank, and it's as simple as this, and there's no way to get around it. It's like
money makes money.
yeah, you need money. You need to be able, if you want to buy 10 PS5s in a month, you need £5,000 or you need £4,500. So if you want to, and so that's a grand profit. So you need £4,500, and obviously you might rotate them. So you might buy them one
rotate.
week,
Yeah.
and then they'll be sold by the second week, and you've got your money back by the third week, and you can buy another one. So things like that obviously play into account, but you need, the more money you have, the more money you can make a month,
Yeah.
and it's simple
But
as
the
that.
longer you keep going, the more money you'll
Yeah,
have.
you just generate more
It's just
money.
cash flow. It's just like any business.
You
need
keep
cash
building it
flow.
up, reinvesting.
Just cash flow, yeah. Cash
yeah.
is king. Like,
is king.
got no cash flow, you don't make no money. Like,
Yeah, and that's just a fundamental factor, and I think that is a problem. That's just a part of every single side hustle, and luckily ours is risk free. There's returns policies on pretty much every single item.
It's not
Literally
like crypto where it
99.9%
goes
of
down
every
and you
single
can't
item we
get out.
provide. And if there is no refund policy, we will tell you that there's no refund policy, and we'll say be careful. But literally
There we go.
99.9% have all got refunds, and
I think
if it doesn't
pretty
sell,
much-
just send it back and get your money back.
I
Problem
think
solved.
the law says that pretty much. I think it's most online products have to be returnable, because obviously you can't see your product, you don't
Yeah,
know what
there's
it's like.
exclusions should apply, but general rule is every product should be returnable,
Mhm.
apart from
90%.
exclusions.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly that's just like custom stuff, or like if it's like a limited
Yeah.
run of like products and they're not
Yeah.
going to
Custom
resell
order.
them again, like you can't send those ones.
Or it's
back,
made to
or-
order, things like
Yeah,
that.
made to order.
that's
things,
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other great questions?
That's
I
it.
think we'll cut it there. Leave
Yeah,
it
I
for,
think
leave it
time's
for
running
next
out.
week.
Well, boys,
Good.
it's been a pleasure. Hope you all enjoyed the first ever Crep Chief podcast. Second time filming this one, And
If you want to leave some questions below of what we should talk about next week,
Please do.
yeah,
will do.
any topics, things like that, things we can go into, leave them below. And we'll
Willis, pop tags,
pop them.
pop them up now.
Pop. That was a good noise.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
We'll see you next week.